Welcome back to another edition of Her Love and His Peace. And today we have a very interesting show for you. We're going to give you our thoughts on recent podcasts by Forbidden Knowledge Podcast Network. The brother Billy Carson, who is the host and curator over at Forbidden Knowledge Podcast Network. He does a lot of informational videos about human history uh, with the alternative view, and he backs up what he says with written facts, artifacts, and things of that nature. Whether or not the scientific community agrees with him or not, I believe it's important information for you to check out. Um, but you have to open your mind to the possibility. Um, and that's where a lot of people go wrong with that type of information. It either goes super left to they can't get out of what they've been brought up to believe in uh, religion and with how human history is so-called written now, or it goes to the other side of being super conspiracy theories and things of that nature. Right. So I believe his information kind of bridges that gap into the possibility of what's really real about human history.
Mm.
But the podcast episode that we both listened to was dealing more with the relationship aspects of male female relationships. He had a young lady on there, Khadijah Camp. The title of that podcast was Why Modern Day Women Are Losing Good Men.
Correct.
Very interesting podcast that day. What we're going to do today is give you our takeaways from it and some of our background and what we thought, positive, negative, or whatever. When it started off and the young lady was talking, the kind of the first half of it,
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of kind of so about what she was saying. Not saying that she was wrong, not saying that she was right. It was just that I didn't necessarily identify with some of the things. All right. So that doesn't make
Okay.
them right or wrong. It's just that I couldn't identify with it. Right.
Okay.
That was because my dating history in dealing with people wasn't really expansive like that.
Okay.
So I didn't really deal with a lot of that in the first half of what she was talking about. But then when I went back to go check the second half of the video, because I stopped at midway, she hit a point that really, ah, now I got you.
Okay.
I track
I can relate
exactly,
to this.
relate to what you're saying. I know where it fits into the dynamics of dating life or relationship life, and I could identify with it wholeheartedly.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get to that, why don't you kind of explain your thoughts on the video?
Okay. With my thoughts on the video, I could relate to the first half of, actually, I could relate through pretty much the whole video, seeing that she was really kind of speaking to women about things we as women do to possibly force or push away a good man. Um, like some of the notes I took on it was like, in the beginning, they asked what was one of the most common things that a woman does and she does it, she stated it as saying knowingly and unknowingly is one of the common mistakes we have is the entitlement. And sometimes I feel a lot of women feel we are or we should be entitled to certain kind of treatment or things should be done our way and all of that. I don't I've never felt entitled. I've always been appreciative, so I kind of understood where she was coming from because I have seen it, but I haven't been one of those ones that felt entitled because and she talked on I mean she had a lot of good points. So are we going to go ahead and talk? You want me to just go ahead and tell you everything I felt about this video?
Go ahead and run it.
Go ahead and run it.
Because she
Oh,
was talking really to women. So I'll chime in on where I thought uh, it kind of hit home for me.
okay. So, and I may not go in the order she went. I'm just going as my notes is because at the time I got a chance to listen to it, I was multitasking. I wasn't multitasking. I was switching. I was task switching. So here we go. A common mistake we make far as entitlement, it was also not showing affection. You know, how we don't we need to show a man that we want him just as well as he show us that he wants us. So it's like we should be able to come and let him know, let him show him how we want him. It's like you can express how, hey, I like you and I want to be with you. Whereas in us women, we just feel, okay, he want to be with us. So I don't have to show him that same type of affection. And she feel that's not true. We as women should also um show affection. So I'm gonna stop there for just for a second. So because I want to ask you,
Mhm.
between the two of us, do you feel as though I may show any type of affection that I really want to be with you, or can you tell that I really want to be with you? I put it like that.
It's for me, it's more action based
Okay.
versus affection based,
Okay.
and that's only because we've been interacting for um, a good minute here. So
It has been.
knowing me, I don't necessarily need the hardcore, or I shouldn't say hardcore, the outwardly affection more so than I need the action,
Okay.
right? And that's just because I'm seasoned.
Yes.
Now, when you're younger, a lot of times younger people don't know what the fuck they need.
Mm-hmm.
They may say they need this, and next week that changed,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So
But it's not all young people. You
you
got
got
some
right. You
some
got
older ones
older
that
people that don't know what it is that they really need. They think they need this, and then it changes, and it can change based off of what the person, the affection that the person, type of affection the person is giving. You're like, well, I really don't need that from you like that. And so those things will kind of switch up, you know. But speaking for us, everything is very action based, which versus, a more outwardly, like if you're out and about, you don't have to be pawing all over and this, that, and the other, and
correct.
those types of things. They're cool, but not really, not something that I need. But there are people who really desire that, or that they need that reassurance or reaffirm. So it comes down to the communication base of knowing what your partner needs.
Yeah.
Yeah. and being attentive to that type of situation, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's really what that comes down to. So when she said that, I was like, okay, I could see that, but
Mm-hmm.
I think too they were relating it to the point of where when your relationship goes dead, your affection goes cold.
Yeah.
It's just part of a dead relationship,
Yeah.
or a dying relationship, I should say.
Yeah.
Your affection goes cold. You don't want to see that person. You cringe when that motherfucker calls your name. you know. So
Now, do you think sometime the affection starts going cold before the relationship starts going cold, or is the reason the affection is going slow or cold is because somebody won't out of this relationship, or
I don't
you
I
just
don't think
falling
it's a
apart?
natural. Yeah, I don't think one comes before the other, or back and forth. I
But
think it's just whatever the dynamics is playing in that relationship. You know, the relationship could be going cold, and therefore the affection goes cold behind it,
mm-hmm.
or the affection can go cold, and therefore the relationship starts to go south. I don't think there's a one-to-one correlation to where you could say one happens before the other. I think they're interchangeable.
Okay. Yeah. Because I would say that it can happen vice versa, because sometimes the affection go cold, which causes the relationship to go cold. Because when you're in a relationship and you're used to affection, and all of a sudden, um, a person stops giving you the affection, and to me, that's when you need to start communicating or asking questions like, "Hey, what's going on?" Because it could be a number of reasons why the affection is going cold. It could be you're dealing with your own personal issues. It could be health. It could be finance, or it could be family. But, because all of those play a role in your life. So it's like if you're having real strong issues that's causing, and it's not that you're doing it on purpose, and sometimes you may not even realize that you're not showing affection like you used to. But then, for me, I feel like if I feel your affection is starting to go cold, I'm gonna come and ask you. And if we supposed to be in this relationship together, I don't think the answer should be, "Oh no, this ain't got nothing to do with you. I'll handle it." But it's affecting us. So I think you correct me if I'm wrong. I feel we should be able to talk about it, because it may be something I can actually help you with, and we can get back to where we were. But what do you think? Do you think that's a communication issue where we need to talk about it and say, "Hey"?
That is a communication issue. I think this is where a lot of things go wrong in a number of relationships. I can't say all.
Mm-hmm.
The thing of effective communication.
Mm-hmm.
And because people are, regardless, if you're on this earth, you're always in you should be in a constant stage of learning and understanding about yourself.
Yes.
A lot of times people get so buried into this one mindset that, especially they get older and they're not changing, they're not looking to change, and they're just set in their ways. To me, that's the worst thing you can do, because now when new things arise in a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't even matter what the relationship is. It could be parent, child, you know, friends, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
When you can't communicate effectively, things go south.
Yes.
So then, effective communication involves being direct to the point. yes, you're mindful of people's feelings, and a lot of people are so mindful of people's feelings they just won't say nothing,
Right.
right? And that's not good either,
It's
right?
not.
So you have you take into account with people's feelings, but you got to get to the meat and potatoes of what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
it's not, no one can help the situation if you don't get down to the brass tacks of what's wrong. Not the kind
Exactly.
of sort of stuff, not the mind reading stuff, not the well, you should have known stuff. No, no, no,
No.
no, no. So that is a communications problem in a lot of cases. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it can be overcome, even even to the point to where you're not showing the affection because really you just don't want to be in the relationship no more. And you're not saying nothing because you don't want to hurt that person's feelings of this, that, and the other.
Right.
At some point, you got to say something, you know, to at least acknowledge whether or not there's a chance of redemption in the relationship or not.
Right.
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 And that too is part of the problem, you know. And I think at some point, everybody has kind of felt that way in a relationship. The real proof is how you handled it. Did you
Mm-hmm.
communicate it effectively, or did you just act funny and then the shit just went away? Now,
Yeah.
you know, that type of thing happens, you know. And like I said, it affects not just male female relationships, it affects relationships.
Right. That's true. That's true. So that was one of the things she did talk about is sometimes we as women can be poor communicators, and we expect, as you said, we expect the man to be the mind reader, and or oh well, he should know, he know, if he say he know me, he should know what's going on. No, that's not true, and I can agree with her on that. We have to learn how to be able to express anything, because like I've told you a few times, there was some things that I wouldn't say to you because it wasn't that I was afraid. I was just like, oh no, that's not a ladylike conversation. And when I finally did talk to you, you was like, that's crazy. You human. We all human. So it's like there is something, and for you, for us to be in a relationship. So if I couldn't even talk to you about simple things like that, that's going on with my health or my body or whatever, because I feel you a man, but I'm in this relationship with you. And once we talked about it, I did, and at the end, I felt kind of stupid. Like, okay, you was suffering health wise, whatever, and not talking to him, and he have no clue to what's going on with you, and for what reason? Because I was a poor communicator. So now I've gotten better. Now there's no holds bar. I can tell you anything. You're like, hey, I got this issue. I got this issue. And blah blah blah.
Well,
It's just
part
constantly rolling. Blah 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 blah. Blah. So,
right.
but
Part of people get this thing to where they don't want to be a turnoff,
right.
right? They either don't want to divulge certain things because they're embarrassed, or they they don't want to be a turnoff and have the other person run for the hills, you know,
Yes.
saying, oh, this person is too weird, or they're bizarre, this, that, and the other.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna have that younger in life,
Yeah.
because younger in life you're judged on everything from your looks to your shoes you wear, the how much money you have. You know, you have all these judgment zones when you're younger. And also we're brought up to play these games
Mm-hmm.
that way, you know. uh,
Mm-hmm.
males are brought up to play these sucker games, what are called pea brain syndrome. You know,
Okay.
they're raised to be pea brains.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with males are is that most of them don't get out of the pea brain syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you can have a man that's 50 years old and still trying to act like he's 20,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that's all
Right.
he knows,
Right.
right? That's all he knows. And that kind of behavior is all he knows. So he
Right.
never matured in his behavior towards relationships
Mm-hmm.
and dealing with those things, right? And that's where all that comes from. And yeah, there's some things that you're going to take to your grave with you, and you should, right? Not everything needs to be divulged, but simple things like what we're talking about, right? Those are daily life function things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And and my thing is too is that we live with too many fucking hangups as it is.
Yeah.
And part of those hangups is what's causing a lot of our communication issues,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
It's okay to be a little silly. It's okay to let yourself and let your hair down and be, you know, I let my hair down all the time, you know, and just be yourself, right?
Right.
But it's just like communicating on wherever you get this platform, right?
Yes.
We would be a lot more popular if I didn't cuss as much, right?
Right. But
Because
then
the
that's not you.
algorithm, exactly. Then I lose the whole appeal of what's really me being unhinged, you know,
Mm-hmm.
being what the whole podcast is supposed to be about, having my say, regardless of what the view count is, regardless of what the algorithm says. I'm having my say on the airways, right?
Right.
So a lot of people are stuck in this realm of trying to be so perfect that it hinders their communication
Correct.
until some tragedy strikes or the thing is going south. And you're
Mm-hmm.
like, that shit ain't no big issue. Just, you know, well, I feel so dumb, or I feel so silly, or I feel, we all feel silly and dumb. Fuck it.
Yeah,
So the way life
we
is.
all have them moments. We
Yeah, we
do.
all have moments like that, you know.
Yeah.